husband who is accused of raping her. A lot of questions on Twitter about this scale, so I'm hoping you can.
Yes.
Mental status scale?
Yes, how like they determine how she is and can she
Right.
give consent. So I'm hoping you can maybe.
Yeah, there's a few domains that you look at on the mini mental state exam. So there's counting back from 100 subtracting 7. There's spelling the word world backwards. There's telling her
date and time,
date and
president,
time,
yeah.
what year we're in, what building we're
Who's the
in.
president?
Yeah. So simple math. A couple of things like remembering 3 items that were mentioned before, holding up a cup and asking them what this is so they can name everyday household items.
And parts of it. You have to name parts of the cup,
Right,
too, like what's this part
right.
here and stuff.
But this is so different from autobiographical memory, which
That's
is
trying
this
to assess
idea of,
whether somebody, where they are in a scale and progress of a illness.
Yes.
Not what's their ability to be in a
That's right.
relationship. It's
Right.
a whole different kind of an assessment.
That's right, Dr. Drew. And what we know about even severe dementia is that autobiographical memories are preserved until the end. People remember their loved ones, especially if they're having constant interaction with them, shown pictures of them. Those are the last memories.
What I'm having trouble with is how do we get people to differentiate? I deal with, you must deal with this all the time, but the difference between affect and cognition. And people just can't separate those things. We're not all just cognitive. We're not all just thoughts and reason. We're very
Different
little of
parts
that,
of
in
the brain,
fact.
right, Dr. Drew? There are different parts of the brain that are in charge.
Okay.
Hold up the
All
brain
right.
and talk about it.
The ventral medial prefrontal cortex is really the part where people have empathy, and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex is where people have sort of cognitive processes that apply to relationships and emotions. But this part, the deeper parts, the parts that's connected to the body, the autonomic nervous system, that doesn't deteriorate as fast as this top stuff up here, which is where our thinking is. Yes? Did I say that okay?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I'm so glad you cleared that up because it's completely different parts of the brain that are functioning in the illness of dementia, the illness progression. And we're very preoccupied with assessing their cognition, but that is different from social experience, relationships.
One of the parts that goes away is deep in here, which is
gosh,
in
Dr.
this
Drew,
part
keep
right
going.
here. It goes away. But where sort of our feelings and our personal stuff is out here.
Well, I had some Twitter followers who were really confused about the Swiss cheese analogy. I got a few tweets about
it's what I try
does
to
that
help
mean?
patients, help them understand that, is that they can be really clear in certain areas and totally fall out of bed in others.
So that's why they have to take it a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
They have to look at the history of this man who's been, his character is stand-up character.
My mother-in-law could play the piano until long after she was able to speak.
Wow. See?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, the motor memory, the experience. And then this is part of the problem, too, is that her daughters thought that depriving her from the world was actually going to save her somehow. The more you deprive an individual, the sooner they die, the more their illness progresses. You have to expose them to social situations, to relationships, to fun activities.
But
And that's what the husband was doing.
Yeah, well, Andy just thought he was a horny old man, though.
Well, good for him for being horny, though, right? You said that to me when we were
Well,
exchanging.
it's an amazing libido, but I just have a question for both of you, if I may. So let's assume for a second that she was against it, that she just didn't want it. Would she be able, in her dementia-style mind, to express that? Like, or is that just not even possible?
It was 0 on a mental status exam. Probably wasn't able to understand or communicate much of anything. But if she didn't like what was happening to her, if she physically responded negatively, she would have fought it off.
Right.
Okay.
There would have been
But still have that instinct.
based
Like if a
reaction.
jogger goes up to her and she's
Yeah.
demented, she would.
If somebody hurt, they react to
Right.
that.
She
Okay.
And then
Like,
wouldn't
how
her
would we put
roommate
together
have
a
heard
sentence
that?
when
Because
she
the
said
roommate heard them having sex, but the roommate never heard her.
So Emily,
And the
what else
roommate
stuff?
did not
Getting
hear her
angry.
having sex. The roommate has now changed her story,
Oh.
which is one more thing that the DEA, their whole case is falling apart.
What's wrong with that
She
DEA?
is now
Come on.
saying that she heard whispering. She thinks it was whispering. Whispering and
And
sex
sex is
is
different.
obviously
What's wrong
very,
with the
very.
DEA? What is
I
wrong
really
with
don't
it?
know what's going on with the DEA because you guys are talking about the mind frame that she might have had, and when they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he didn't have that. First of all, that they had sex, and that the confession there is really questionable.
Okay.
And so if they even get over that hurdle, then they have to prove that it wasn't with consent. They have to prove that, and it sounds like it's just.
Or that she didn't know what
Was
consent
it?
was.
Is it political because the
That's a good point.
The husband
He's a state representative,
right,
so maybe it's
Could
a
it be
political thing, too.
This is getting
Yeah.
It's deep. It's deep.
This
Yeah.
is very deep. But let's get back to the main question. You heard what they thought. Do you think this man should be accused of rape? Simple as that.